Okay, we're gonna go live. It's number 109. We're hold conditioning. We're still on the ground, or we've moved to the ground. I think this is our third night on the ground. I've got her. I had her sitting the whole while I was getting set up. Some people will start signing on. So tonight I'm gonna do this pretty much the same thing that I've done the last two nights. One thing that I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to start out with the wooden dowel again. If you think of, I always try to think about, somebody scored in the hockey game, so I'm going to try to hurry up so I can watch the end of that. Travis and Laura are in, Jerry Sorensen's in, Jeff Trudell is in, Wyatt Anderson is texting me, Bitmojis. Rochelle is in, good evening Rochelle. Amanda got in, Jeff Trudell. So tonight I'm going to start with the wooden dowel. I really like her. The way she is right now. Haven't done much with the dogs. One of the things tonight that I'm going to talk about that's outside of the normal Live with Spry is something that I read about. Vicki Rayburn got in. Good evening, Vicki. It's something that I read today in a group post or a group thing that I'm a member of, or whatever, a part of a group on social media or on Facebook. It's a grouse hunters group, and it was a really good point, and I hadn't thought about it. So it's something I'm going to talk about before we're done here too, regarding kind of what we're dealing with these days. But with her, we didn't do much. Haven't done much the last couple days for a couple of reasons, and I'll talk on that a little bit. Hunter's in, Jason Erickson's in. Welcome, guys. Please do me the favor, as always, please share these. Share them to someone that you think these can help. Doesn't necessarily have to be hold conditioning. Maybe it is hold conditioning. But if it's not, if it's just in general, there's so much back information on these Live with Sprys. I think they're a good resource. I probably have gotten as many people who have sent me messages, like private messages, thanking for these Live with Sprys as much as anything we've ever done. And I think that's real interesting, and that's part of why I keep doing them. Craig is in, Craig Klein. I think Craig Klein is new, I think. I don't recognize that name that often. Andy Sessions is Ryan Krasanik joined in. Rhino's in, so how are you doing, Rhino? But one of the things that I'm going to do is I always think about the night before and the night before and the night before, and I'm always trying to build off of it. So tonight I am going to start out with a wooden dowel. And it's kind of, I think some may think, why do you go back to that all the time? Because last night wasn't perfect. Last night she didn't do nearly as, she did pretty good with this, and I went to a big canvas bumper, a big fire hose bumper, one of these. This is the one that I went to next, and she struggled with it a little bit. And when I say she struggled, it wasn't that she was bad with it. Dan, good evening, Dan. Dan got in. Seth Barnowski is in. Hey, Seth. One of the things that she did was she kept putting her head down. She kept putting her head down. She kept putting her head down. So she wasn't quite perfect with it. I'm looking forward to moving her feet on the ground. And I'll explain why I'm looking forward to that here pretty quick, but no different than why I was excited to move her feet over there on the freezer weeks ago. So you can see she's doing a pretty nice job settling in, so we're going to get started. But I'm going to go with a wooden dowel, and then I'm going to mix it up tonight. I think I'm going to use those fire hose bumpers, but I'm also going to go with some different sizes and see how that does. I'm guessing I threw the biggest one at her last night, and she struggled a little bit with it. She did fine holding it. She just didn't hold it in the right position all the time the way I wanted her to. So it tells me we need to keep working on it. We just need to keep working on it until we get that and we master it, and then we'll add another step to it, and then we'll add another step to it. It's just our ongoing, constant process. So I'm going to bring her over. So she did a really nice job from when I got out here till now of just sitting still. Last night she was a bit antsy. Yep. So I'm going to bring her over a little bit closer so you guys can see. About here is good, I think. Sit. And now is when I mentioned it last night. I didn't talk about it after, and I thought I should have. Is I mentioned about talking to the camera and how my pace is and my cadence is, and I'm a little bit faster and quicker and louder, and because I want to make sure you guys can hear good and all that stuff. When I go to the dog, I kind of have to tune this out. So if you're new, this is a great time, sit down, to fire away with questions. once I get into the dog, I'm going to focus on the dog. And so I won't be watching that nearly as much. But great time to ask questions, and I can go back and answer them. And last night we had a couple questions that were nothing related to exactly what I was doing. That's fine. We'll answer them after. So I'm going to bring her over, and then I'm going to get going. And the one thing I want you to notice tonight, or look for, is the change in my momentum when I start in with her. And when I say that, I mean I'm going to be quieter. I'm going to be a lot slower. And we're going to connect a lot better that way. And she's going to have a tendency to be more settled that way. Hey. So I need to work on trying to improve on that tonight. Come here. Sit. Hold. Hold. Good little tail. Hold. 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 Good. Hold. 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 Good. Can't see your tail, but it's going pretty good right now. Hold. Very good. She's got a real settled look about her tonight. Good. Hold. 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 Good. Dead. Very nice. That's a great rep right there. So I want to follow it back up. Sit. She's extremely comfortable tonight, I can tell right away. Her eyes are real comfortable. They follow me, so she's focusing. Hold. But she's not stiff. When I say that, she's not real tense. That's a little low for me. Hold. 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 Very nice. And there's a little tail wag. Good. Hold. Hold. Very good. So I'm feeling real good about this tonight so far. Hold. She just has a real calm sense about her. Hold. 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 She's got just the right amount of pressure. When I push on it, her head bobs with it. She's holding it firm enough, but she's not chomping. Hold. Very good. Dead. That's real nice. Sit. Come on. Sit down. She's real eager to please tonight. I can just see it. I love that. So we're going to take a step. We're going to build on it. So I think that's a plus. I'm scorecarding in my mind. I'm up 2. I'm +2 right now. Hold. This she'll probably do real well. It's a nice, easy little, we call them the puppy bumper. That's the size that's on our website. Hold. Hold. Still don't want that head going down like that. She's much more tense right now. Hold. You can see it in her whole body language. She's pretty rigid. Hold. Good. There's a little tail wag. Good. Hold. Hold. But this is that puppy size fire hose bumper on our website. We call it puppy. I don't think you need to think it's just for puppies. It's a perfect size for a dove. Hold. Quail. Hold. Teal. Hold. Very good. Her chin is down just a little too much. Hold. Hold. Want to get that chin up. Hold. Hold. Good. Without touching her. Hold. Hold. That's where I want it. Hold. Good. Hold. Dead. Very nice. Now I'm going to move her a little bit. I'm going to bring her back and reset her. I'd like to get that a lot crisper. Come on, come on, sit. So I'm gonna maybe pick my pace up a little bit too with this one. Hold, 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 hold. There, good, good. When she does it right, she's got to know that that's right. That's where those goods come in. Good, hold. Tail wags. She's got pretty eager eyes right now. Hold, hold, hold. And she kept it up, which is really nice there. I was expecting her to drop that chin down again. Hold. If I could finish this, hold, hold, hold. Very nice. Hold, hold. Good. Get it up. Hold, 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 hold. Good girl. Hold. Dead. Good girl. So, boy, that was real close to being there. Wasn't quite. If I didn't have to have that last little bit of correction, I would have been, that was really good. Sit down. So I'd say that's a neutral. I don't know that I'm plus, but I don't know that I'm negative either. So, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to this skinny one. It's a little bit longer. Hold. 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 Good. Good. Getting that little bit of tail wag, which I like. Hold. Hold. Good. I'm not going to move on this one. Let's see if I can't get that chin up the whole time. Hold. 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 There. Good. Hold. Hold. Dead. Not quite, but close. So I'm not going to move until I get a perfect one as far as her position. Can you guys see her all right? Hold. 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 Too much down. We gotta fix this. Come on. Hold. Good. Good. Hold. Hold. Good. Hold. Hold. Very good. Hold. Good. Dead. There. Now I got a little firm on her there with my tone because I kind of had enough of it. So I got to the point where I was, and you notice I move around a little bit, kind of let her reset. But I got to the point where I had had enough of that head down, head down, head down. So I got a little bit heavy on my tone. Wasn't much, but it was enough to get a result out of her, and she held pretty steady. So I want the same thing. I want to get another, I just want to get a good rep where I don't have to do that. Hold with the bumper. Hold. 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 Good. Very good. Good. Hold. Now I should cut that one kind of short because it was perfect at the end. Here, come on. Now she keeps looking at something. Come here. Come on. Here. And she kind of keeps looking at something. So I don't know if there's something flying around back there or what. But that was maybe a little bit of distraction for her. But the reason I got out of that one as quickly as I did was I had to firm up a little bit. I finally got what I wanted. It was good for a short period of time. So I got out of it and ended it with it positive. Come here. So I want to get one more. And I prefer to not have to fix it in the middle. So if I can get a good one, I'm going to get out of this session. Hold. 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 I can live with that position. Hold. Hold. Good. Very good. Hold. Hold. Very good. Hold. Dead. That's it. I'm done now. So I ended that one really well. That was the best one yet. It wasn't super long. Come here. Now I'm going to put her over here, put her on sit. Come here. Sit. So I end it real positively. It was a nice rep to end it. I was thinking about going to the big bumper, and I don't even want to now because I felt like that last one didn't take any correcting, and we got through it. So I'm gonna live with that. I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna spin this around. I'll put it on her, and I'll end it like we normally do. I'm gonna look back here and see if there's some questions. There was some typing I saw going through. Amanda said, I was watching Live with Spry earlier, number 5, I think. And you were talking about using pieces of her food to get her to come to you. We were having trouble with her running away from us. Should we use food to train her to come now? I think it's a bad habit that has started to form. Yeah, I don't mind. So when Amanda, when I was using food with her as a relatively small pup, and I don't know that it matters. I don't think it matters. If you've got a dog that isn't recalling very well, I don't know that it matters the age necessarily. I like to use food for dogs that are motivated by food, and usually little puppies are, and I use it early on to form a habit. So I like how you're recognizing that you've got a pup that's having some problems running away. I don't know if you weren't the one we were talking about about this last night. I don't think, with the idea of putting it on a lead to take it out and all that stuff. I don't think that was you, but maybe it was. But so recall. So yeah, I don't mind using food as a motivator for recall, to get a habit started. And by meaning a habit started, like a few repetitions where they come to me. Now, but what I want you to be careful of is, all of you guys, don't practice recall by putting your dog on sit and then calling him to you. Because we work so hard to steady our dogs up and put them on sit, put them on remote sit, and then what happens is we call them off a sit, and then they lose everything we work so hard to create steadiness and have a dog that's steady on a remote sit goes away because we're calling them off a sit. Don't ever call your dogs off place. I still don't. I started calling Spry off place recently, and I'm going to stop, I think, because she has started to take it upon herself to think where she can get off of her place and come running. Because, oh, Dad, she hears the door, so all of a sudden, whoom, she comes around the corner. Because I've started calling her off of her place. Well, I worked really hard to keep her on place. And now she's gotten into a habit, and Steph said something about it this morning, is she's breaking off a place all of a sudden. Well, it's because we've gotten in a habit now of getting a little lazy and assuming some things. And I go, instead of walking over to there and touching her or bringing her off myself, I called her off, and now all of a sudden that steadiness on place has eroded. So when you're talking about recall, don't call them off sit. Instead, have them walking around with you loosely, but not necessarily on lead or anything. But they're with you. They're just not in heel position because they're probably not heeling yet, and they probably don't understand really what heel is, especially off lead. So they're with you, but they're under control and they're supervised, but they're not necessarily right next to you. And then just drift away from them and call them to you. So
drift away, get their attention, come on, come on, come on. And here they come running to you, and welcome them with that little piece of kibble. And so then they get, then you can do this in like a little game. And so then they're, oh, that was fun. And then they get distracted and they start checking out something on the other side of the room or 3 feet away from you. And then you just slowly drift away from them, Amanda. Drift away, go the opposite direction, and then make a little noise, get their attention, recall them to you, get down. I'll flip this around. This is how I like to get down to call them to me. So my pup is right here. You're right here. You've got your little kibble in your pocket or you're in your hand here. And pup starts not paying attention, drifting off a little bit. So I drift off a little bit and then I go, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And I get down like this. And all of a sudden, a habit comes. Wow, they're coming. And they're coming, and when they come to me, I give them my little piece of kibble and I tell them how good they are. Now, I don't mind kibble to start out with because I think it's a real strong motivator. And it gets the dog to understand, she's probably got something for me. And food is it. And food might be what it takes rather than playing over there or doing something in another spot. So that might be what it takes to form the habit. But then eventually, when the habit continues and when we get repetitions over and over and over and the habit actually starts to form, start taking away or not giving necessarily kibble, but it looks like you got it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, good girl. And a little bit of praise at the end instead of food. So, sit. One way I like to work on recall is with a reverse heel. That's if you've got a dog on a lead, and you'll see that eventually, Amanda, you're going to see that. But in our DVD, we talk about doing it. In the foundation DVD, for sure, we talk about doing it. But we're going to put a dog on a heel, and then we're going to backpedal. Drop the lead and backpedal. We're going to call him to us. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And she gets in this little habit of coming to me. So here, she's big. So imagine that she's little. Okay? So I'm standing here. I'm not asking her to be on heel, but I'm slowly drifting away from her. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, good girl. And if she comes in and I give her a little piece of kibble, and her little tail's wagging, that's practicing recall. So I'm in a real controlled spot, and I'm not asking her to be on heel right now, and she's not sitting, she's scratching, and she's kind of just meandering a little bit. I'm trying to get her to do it. And so then I just slowly drift away, and she knows the game's coming here. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, good girl. And when she gets to me, I give her a lot of praise. So that's where I would sit down. So now what I don't want to do is I don't want to come over here and call her to me. Because I just told her to sit. Sit means sit. Sit's permanent. Sit means stay. So don't start getting in a habit where you contradict all that hard work you're doing on don't sit. See what happens when we tell them to sit, they lay down because they know they're going to be there a while. So if we start calling them off of that, we get into a little bit of issues with it. So no, I don't have a problem with using kibble. But phase it out. Jacob Burris got in. Welcome, Jacob. Charlie got in. Rocky is in. Jeff Trudell. Looks good, Jeremy. She did a nice job tonight. I would say tonight was on a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably 7.5, maybe an 8. It wasn't great, but I think we ended up plus. I don't think we took steps backwards. I think we gained a little bit. I ended it with a really nice hold with that bumper, and I would say that was the best one that she's done on the ground yet. So I'm going to build off of that. Tomorrow, I probably won't start with the dowel. 3 days in a row with the dowel. She's got the dowel knocked out. So now I'm going to go back to the bumpers. And then I'll probably add in that training dummy. So it's a very similar process to what we did on the freezer. It's just now we're on the ground. Brian Britton got in. Justin Schmidt got in. Hey, Justin, how are you? Been a long time. A little warm for the chromer. This is a lightweight chromer, Jeff. And my Matthews hat, my tried and true, the one I always wear, I was power washing an old barn tonight, so it's soaked. And it stinks. Haven't checked in for a while, but she looks like she's doing great. She's still working on Sadie with her rock problem. Rock problem was picking up rocks and chewing them, I think, wasn't it, Brian? Amanda says, yes, that's me. So we were talking about it yesterday. So those are not, when you go outside and the dog has the tendencies to run off on you, that's not the time to work on recall. The time to work on recall is in a real controlled spot, like here in the garage or in your mudroom or in your hallways, and that's where you form the habits. Because you're having that issue, that's why you go to the lead now, so you eliminate the negative. You're going to get plus, 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 plus when you have nice recall. If you go outside and you have poor recall and the dog runs off on you, minus, 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 well, all of a sudden minuses and plus, they equal 0. We're always trying to end up on the positive at the end of the day. So tonight's lesson, I had +2 right off the bat because the dog did pretty good. I don't know that I got any negatives. I don't know that I got any more pluses. So I look at this session and I go, I'm up 2 tonight. So that's the way my little mind processes a session in progress. And so I know it's kind of weird, but when you start thinking about it that way, it makes it measurable. Hunter says, I need to start doing these reps with my pup. When I go out to the woods and play hide and seek with the antler, he can find them, but he doesn't always bring them back. He'll pick them up every time, but he drops them right where he finds them. Yeah, you need to work on retrieve. You need to work on the idea of you've got a dog that possibly is out seeking, and once he seeks, he doesn't know what to do with it. So the order is off. First and foremost, I need dogs to understand retrieve and the idea that this shape equals a retrieve. That training dummy, that antler shape, that smell, it equals a retrieve because the retrieve is what motivates our dogs. Antlers don't mean anything to a dog. No more than a stick, no more than a ball, no more than a bird. Dogs don't retrieve objects or pick objects up because they like objects. They pick them up because we teach them to understand that they will equal a retrieve. So I can get dogs to retrieve empty pop bottles if I want to. I don't, so I don't train it into them. But I had a dog, and there's an old story. You'll find an old story on YouTube when I did a seminar talking about it. I had this dog that decided to start picking up pop bottles. Well, pop bottles equaled a retrieve to that dog because our daughter decided to kind of have a game with the pup and make retrieves with pop bottles. Well, all of a sudden now a pop bottle is valuable because it equaled retrieve. You're hiding, the game of hide and seek, if there isn't a groundwork or a foundation prior to hide and seek, you may have a dog that just happens to find stuff and then go, I don't know what I'm really supposed to do with this. I'll move on to something else. I'll go look for something else. So it's the order, Hunter, in which we need to get that hide and seek game going. That comes later. Just retrieving. That is a real fundamental foundation thing that we got to establish. We never let her off leash outside because she won't come back. So there you go. So you need to fix that, Amanda. So that's good. You need to fix that with recall in sessions and then implement it into everyday life. So we work on stuff for focused periods of time, 5, 10, 15-minute sessions. We master those skills and then we use them all day long in situations that we can, and we avoid the negative or the bad that potentially is there, and that would be by putting on the lead. It'll come, Amanda. I struggled with Thor for a long time with recall, then all of a sudden it clicked. Be patient, and that we all do, Amanda. So especially with your dog's age, it doesn't surprise me. There was another guy last night that had a pup that was, I think, a week off of yours, and you guys both are running into it at the exact same time. And before I read far enough to find out how old your dogs were, it's usually that 12, 13, 14 weeks is where I see it. Nicole joined in. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff is a perfect example of someone who's really put in some work through these, and he's seen the results, but he's going through the same struggles everyone else is. Amber's in. Amber's not in. Amber's husband is in. It has been a while. Jeff Williams joined. Jeff Williams got in here. Hello. We have watched both your DVDs. Yes, I remember that from one of them. I think you're talking reverse heel. It's a really good drill for recall. Evening Chase. Got it. It would be a 10 for me. Dan says it's a 10 for him. I never get 10s, Dan. We never get 10s. There's always something that we could have done a little bit better. And I'm not that picky, but I'm a little bit picky. Carol got in. She's going to catch it tomorrow. Have a great night to you. I think Carol is East Coast, so it's a little bit later for the East Coast people. Nice looking pup. Time for some cooler weather. Jacob leads us into it. Beautiful comment. When I started out this session, I said we were going to end it with something different, a little bit outside of the Live with Spry stuff, and Jacob touched on it for me. What I wanted to bring up was that grouse page that I am a part of and follow. A guy made a great comment today, and he talked about temperature. He talked about, I know it's hunting season, and we're jacked up about it, and we all want to run our dogs, but he brought up South Dakota, and I don't know what year it was. I'm going to say it was maybe 2005, 2000, maybe I'm guessing it was maybe 2004, something like that. But over 100 dogs died on a count, like they recorded it, of heat stroke on an opening day of pheasant. And that was later in the year, and it wasn't this early, but it was in the 60s. It was like pushing 70 degrees. Sit down. And so they lost a ton of dogs out there. We lost a dog to heat stroke. So what I want to bring up was the idea of, it is hot, and I know it's fall, and we're all excited to hunt. But what I mentioned was, I haven't done much with my dogs. It was 70 degrees when I woke up. Like, it hasn't gotten that cold. Sit down. It's not cooling off that much. So the last couple days, what I mentioned was Spry, you know, she's pretty settled in tonight, and I'm surprised because we haven't done much. And the reason we haven't done much is because the temperatures haven't allowed us to. I did a little bit of water work with Ellie, and I did a little bit of water work with Taylor. I'm not doing water work with Spry because we're not retrieving, because we're hold conditioning. So be careful is what I wanted to say. It's going to be in the 90s here this week, Friday. The warmest day of the year here in Wisconsin is the first day of fall. We didn't get in the 90s all year, and we're going to get to 90 this Friday. So Jacob, thank you for bringing it up. It is time for cooler weather. My warning, or my thought is, guys, be careful with your dogs, because as much as I want to hunt every weekend I can, especially with these dogs, it's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it to have it an issue. So that was it. That was my little public service announcement. But I mean it because it's important. So you guys have a great night. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we start out with bumpers on the ground, and we see if we can't build off of that. Oh, and the final score, Blackhawks 6, Red Wings 1. I guess I don't have anything to watch when I go back in. So you guys have a great night, and I'll talk with you soon.